Here are 25 online reviews of the audiobook titled, The Alchemist. Written by Paulo Coelho and narrated by Jeremy Irons. 1. Great story, even greater narrated by Jeremy Irons. I have this book in Audible, ebook and paper book form. I keep digging back into it and each time catch something new and surprising. A meaning of life book, that I'm sure each reader takes away differently. I can't explain it, but it leaves me fulfilled and searching at the same time. 2. Disappointing. This book has great press because I found the storyline to be trite rather than compelling. The characters were one-dimensional, especially the female characters who served only as plot devices and whose self-professed personal legend is to wait on a man, whether it be the boy's mother, the merchant's daughter, or Fatima. This was disappointing. 3. Unable to finish. Misogynistic white Christian morality and entitlement. Parable-style storytelling similar to C.S. Lewis though without the texture and imagination. 4. Amazing story. Before talking about the book, I have to acknowledge Jeremy Irons as an out-of-this-world talented voice actor. He gave each character a voice and a soul, and his delivery was perfect. Amazing performance. This story spoke to me as I believe it can speak to all people who have heard the voice of God, the language of the universe. 5. Great story that hides philosophical ideas in it. We all want to follow our passions, but most settle into what life brings our way. This is a story for following that path, but with hardships and sometimes having to start all over again. Finding love and understanding of the world is accomplished. But the story is so well written you can enjoy it just for the tale and not worry about the lessons within it. But it certainly doesn't hurt to contemplate. 6. An awakening of self-discovery you don't see coming. The story of the boy started slow. He had many encounters that slowly revealed who he was and what he needs to do to pursue his personal legend and dream. I especially enjoyed the conversation he had with the alchemist about how people suffer and the moment he had conversations with the sun, wind, and hand to turn himself into the wind. Truly a journey we can see ourselves in and how our realizations, dreams, and souls play a role in influencing the soul of the world, with love being the strongest force possible. 7. Parable not a narrative. I hate this book. I dislike bad-mouthing it because there are many people out there who learned profound life lessons from this book. I can appreciate that this book was a social phenomenon that brought a new understanding and new perspectives to people who had previously not thought about their existence in this way before. But for those who are introspective, curious, and have learned the basic life lessons of what's important in life, this book is trash. It hits you over the head with the parables. It's a super basic hero's journey with a thinly veiled narrative tying it all together and packaged as a fictional tale. It is basic self-help disguised as magical realism. It is on the level of a good Studio Ghibli film with only half the heart and depth. It is as basic as a grande pumpkin spice latte. I'm glad I finished it only because I can be up on what's popular in the way that I'm glad I read Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey. I may even recommend this book to some teenagers or tweens. But it is so bad. At least The Little Prince is a cute story. This book takes itself so seriously. As do the rabid fans whose lives were changed by reading it. 8. Pleasantly surprised. I listened to this book because it was strongly recommended by my daughter and others. I was curious and skeptical, but it seemed a relatively quick read. It starts slow and I wasn't sure I would like it, but I was intrigued, so continued. It turns out to be quite a lovely story with an absolutely wonderful message. I will definitely buy a hard copy just to remind myself of some of the more profound passages. 9. The hype is true. Many suggested that I read this book. From people who knew me and people who I only knew from the internet. It did not disappoint, and I will continue to be a voice to carry this title and suggest it to anyone who enjoys a good book. 10. Predictably Pretentious. The story and the point seem to have gotten lost in the overarching pretentiousness of the storyteller. This feels like what happens when a philosophy major tries to write a novel in their sophomore year. It isn't bad, but it feels like it thinks it's more original and clever than it really is. 11. Overrated. 3.5 stars, for me. I enjoyed the overall lesson, but the story is overrated. It just isn't that deep. I planned to read the book years ago, and finally got around to listening to it. The story starts out really intriguing, but it just didn't keep me interested enough to finish it in a timely manner. I kept stretching it out. It took me a very long time to finish listening. Great narrator, though. It's a good lesson, for sure, but it can be summarized in 3 sentences or less. 12. Clairvoyance. I think this book has done for me what most people and other books couldn't. I say that to point out that it has put so much of life into a broad perspective, starting to my earliest memories as a child. This universe is such a simple one but communicates subtle in ways we never recognize. This story is so underrated because it pulled from all perspectives within the boy's journey. Something I believe is the secret to understanding anyone you come to experience. I love this book and recommend it to anything that breathes. 10 stars, but there's only 5. 13. Great story. I know this book gets ragged on a lot, but if you listen to the story in the right mindset, it's really wonderful. The story is very metaphorical and there's a lot of great wisdom in it. The only downside is the narrator often speaks too quietly or too loudly. There's not a lot of good sound balance. 14. Surpassed all my expectations. I've known of this book for a decade, and after listening to Jeremy Irons read the manuscript of Accra, a true gem, I craved more. When I discovered Jeremy Irons also narrated The Alchemist, I immediately began to listen. I will listen again, too, as I underline passages in the physical text. So many beautiful and powerful insights from Mr. Coelho, thank you. This book found me at the perfect moment of my own treasure hunt. 15. Slow the voice down to comprehend his thick accent. This is so good that I could not stop listening. It is a lot to take in and had to rewind several times to comprehend the story. I am sure I will be listening to this one again. My suggestion is to slow it down to understand his thick accent as he talks fast. That made a huge difference for me and only added additional 27 minutes. 16. My spirit needed this. I'd hate to write a chapter of a review, but those who believe in messages from God, or long for a story that empowers following your dreams will want to listen to this book from start to finish. This was a good story that embeds a lesson and reminder that the universe speaks one language and your heart is a great guide. I don't predict I'll turn anything into gold, but I'll walk with a little more confidence in where my heart is telling me to go. I'll also use the symbols of omens as tells and be grateful for my journey. 17. Masterwork, excellent delivery. The book truly is a masterwork. The performance by Jeremy is right on point. It's the type of combination that has made it incredibly delightful to revisit this book time after time. I have listened to this well over 20 times since 2017, now 2021. Every time I do, I discover entirely new golden nuggets of wisdom and understanding. I've found that the story stays fresh even after the many times I have read through it. The performance of the narration by Jeremy is second to none. His talent and the care he took to bring the characters to life set this work apart. 18. Amazed by the marriage of the author and narrator in this novel. I read this novel a couple of years ago and really enjoyed the unique thinking that Paulo Coelho presented to the reader. But hearing Jeremy Irons narrate the story brought a whole new and enhanced perspective to me. It's the best example that Audible can give to encourage people to get an audiobook. 19. Why so angry? If you enjoy parables, then you'll enjoy the story. I found some nuggets of wisdom in it, but all in all found I was thankful it was short. While I adore Jeremy Irons, as a narrator, some of his characterizations baffled me. Such as, why is the alchemist so angry? It made it hard to listen to him. 20. Amazing journey. Love this book. Awesome story and equally awesome voiceover. I haven't read or listened to a book in over 20 years. With all honesty, this book has ignited a passion I never knew existed in me. Thank you to the author, voiceover actor, Audible, and most importantly, Jason O. He is to credit this newly found passion. 21. You may find plenty of good quotes. The book is filled with many beautiful quotes, and I really love the plot twist at the end. For the record, I haven't read many self-help books, but this book helped me with a time filled with anxiety and stress. What I learned from the book was, no matter what happens, if you really need something, the whole universe will give you that one day, and you have to notice and acknowledge the omens. I guess it is a good inspiration. 22. Covet Antidote. I listened to this Covet Christmas Eve 2020 as the Trump presidency was hopefully ending. I was searching for hope and omens and found them. Beautiful story and lively narrator. Thank you. 23. One of the most overrated books ever. This has to be the most overrated book that I have ever read. The philosophy espoused throughout is nothing more than absolute rubbish. 24. I couldn't finish this. This book reads very religious. As a person who left the church, I found the content abrasively biblical. More specifically, it mentions specific details from the Book of Mormon such as the use of the Urim and Thummim, and the Melchizedek priesthood. I quickly lost interest in whatever message this book wanted to convey due to the overwhelming LDS textual theme. I had hoped it would be more like Tolstoy's What Men Live By, which has a connection to religious themes, while not at all feeling religious in itself. Just lovely. The Alchemist presents as religious, especially if you have knowledge of Mormonism, and that is not for me. 25. Torture. This book was rated number 5 on the Audible most popular list. It was cheap and only 4 hours. I forced myself to listen. It is the worst book I have ever suffered through. Jeremy Irons was a terrific narrator though. Thank you for watching. Please, do not forget to subscribe, like and share this video. Tune in for more online audiobooks reviews.